Welcome to the In the Money Players podcast for Saturday, November the 29th. Nick Tammaro here, joined by Jonathan Kinchin, as we take a look at the Stars of Tomorrow card on Saturday at Churchill Downs. Big thanks to our friends at the KTDF and at Twin Spires. There's a bevy of tournaments slated for the upcoming Thanksgiving weekend, including the Clark Betting Challenge on Friday. More action on Saturday. Jonathan, there are plenty of stakes being served on a week where we might just spend more time talking about turkey.
I gotta tell you, that was a good one, Nick. I'm actually going to a steakhouse for Thanksgiving dinner. Last year we were in the city. We went to a place that was like a prime rib place, famous prime rib place, but they still had like turkey and stuff. And then this year we're going to Delmonico's.
Down classic steakhouse,
yeah, it's phenomenal. And so I got to tell you, I kind of like this going out to eat thing on Thanksgiving. It's been nice the last couple of years. Not that I do anything. I sit quietly, but there's like a survivor's guilt on Thanksgiving when you just sit around all day and don't do anything. This is much easier for my conscience.
That's good. We don't want you having an unclear conscience whatsoever. I'm having a house full of people over, and it seems like the majority of the food is being brought here. So I'm not feeling that bad about it. I do have a smoked turkey and a ham, and I'm going to throw some porterhouses on the grill just to give us a little variety. But it should be a lot of fun. Steve Bick and I have gone back and forth on my corn casserole recipe that I brought up on his show last week. And he was sending me all these photos of corn casseroles he was trying to make. And he was looking for an alternative to a corn pudding. So hopefully Steve has settled on a good corn casserole recipe after trying a couple. But, there are plenty of things people are worried about, I think, a little bit more than that.
No, absolutely. But, it's funny. I'm looking at this race card. This is like, I feel like this is that time of the year where the clock really turns and you start thinking about next year's 3-year-old races. It's like obviously in the summer when you see a good horse win a maiden race, you get excited about what could be, but you're still so far away. Really, the Breeders' Cup is next. And then the Breeders' Cup itself just kind of stands alone. But then when you get to this part of the year, it's like you're like really turning the page for like, oh, these are the horses we're going to see running in Kentucky Derby and Kentucky Oaks preps in the spring.
Yeah, I mean, in this card, in our lifetime, it's just gotten better and better. I think they've been doing it for about 20 years now. And I mean, just with the KTDF money and the purse structure, it's incredible. And these races are no exception. And really, some of the stakes, the Goldenrod came up, probably the best Goldenrod in my memory. And
Nick, true or false? True or false? In 2015, did we get in the car on Sunday morning, leave Lexington, and go to Churchill to watch these races?
We did. Yeah, we did. We did. That was, I guess, technically Stars of Tomorrow 1, and this is Stars of Tomorrow 2. But yeah, it was opening day of that meet. It was, that was. That was not a good scene. I just remember, and Travis was in his first year calling at Churchill that year, and he was, and it was like 3:30-ish, and we're in the middle of downtown Lexington, and he's like, dude, we got to be driving to Louisville in like 4.5 hours. And I said, okay. So we start driving, and I'm looking at the games for the day because I'm like, screw this. I've lost enough betting on horses. I'm gonna bet football. And he's like, what the hell? Halfway there, he's like, what the hell are you doing? You're studying those games harder than you did the horses all week. I was like, yeah, this is, and so I didn't fly home till the next day. I think you didn't either. And that was a long day at Churchill, which I sort of vaguely remember. I wish I remembered a little more of it than I do. But yeah, that was quite a scene after Breeders' Cup 2015. But yeah, right at the beginning of November. And they're doing the same thing next year at Keeneland. So Churchill will run next year Wednesday and Thursday. Keeneland will run only Friday and Saturday, and then Churchill will run again on Sunday. If I go, I'm definitely going to fly in and out of Louisville to get the Churchill racing on either side. Because I love going to Churchill Downs. I find it to be a really fun place, regardless of day or crowd size or anything. It's especially now with some of the renovations and stuff.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not necessarily obligated to being on the network and getting paid by them, but I still do feel that. Let's look at this sequence before we waste any more time. It begins in race 8 at 4:25 Eastern time, which will be the Fern Creek going 6.5 furlongs. I was going to say something about Texas and Texas A&M. It keeps throwing me off. It's on Friday. It's like very hard for me to remember. I'm not a fan of it being on Friday, but nonetheless, it is. The Fern Creek is a really good way to start this sequence, Jonathan. I think we don't have morning line odds at this point. You and I are actually taping this on Tuesday, which people will be shocked that we're this far ahead of the game. I guess that Solemn Vow will be among the favorites, maybe with a Fine Chardonnay and On Time Girl, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's Solemn Vow. I suppose there's a small world in which Page Turner, but West Point money a little bit. Do
Yeah.
you take that into consideration?
Yeah,
I would imagine you do.
I take more into
but
consideration the fact she was 8-5 last time out, but yeah.
I would guess a Fine Chardonnay would probably be favored just because of the back-to-back wins. And in all fairness, the two horses that I want in here, and this is also one of my struggles of going early without post positions, is I write down the numbers, and I should probably just write down names. So I'll start with the two Page Turner, who I do like in here, who I think makes a lot of sense. Ran well last time for Cherie, took a bunch of money as well. And I wish she was drawn outside because that's how she won last time. But they're young horses. They can kind of figure that out. And then now I have to do this thing where I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, a Fine Chardonnay. You know, not anytime I have a chance to mention Divisadero, I'll do it. One of the reasons I fell in love with Divisadero was because Buff Bradley was not one that had horses run great first time out, and Divisadero ran sensational first time out, which was having him scream from a mountaintop how good he was. I feel the same way about Ian Wilkes. His horses don't typically win or run that great first time out, but when he has one that does it and then comes back and wins again back to back in a stake, he's 4% with first time starters throughout his career. And when one wins like that, they obviously have a ton of talent, and they also have another level of improvement. So I'm with Fine Chardonnay as well. I'm going to try to survive this first leg with 2-6.
Yeah, I agree with you. Actually, I struggled. I made a Fine Chardonnay 9-2 on the morning line in the Myrtlewood, just because I didn't know how the public would handle a horse that they let go at 45-1 first time out. But she was really good, and Tyler obviously made a choice between she and Solemn Vow here and opted for a Fine Chardonnay, perhaps thinking she might be a filly ultimately that'll stretch out a little bit better. They're both good. They both ran well last time out. There was a penny of difference in the betting between a Fine Chardonnay and On Time Girl last time out. I don't really know if there's a length separation between the two. I think On Time Girl had probably done a little bit more heavy lifting early, but is obviously perfectly capable of coming back and turning the tables. I mean, I thought like you, this was 1, 2, 6, and 7. I'll feel pretty confident in getting out of it with those four. And we'll see if either of these turf horses on the outside run better going to dirt, Mackinac and IB Flying. Both of whom have looked good. Steve's not big on winning with 2-year-old firsters sprinting on the turf, but did so with IB Flying. So we'll see if either of those horses amount to anything down the line. I think this is a little bit too much too soon. I also tried to make the cutback go-to girl, but I just don't think she's good enough. I know it's Pratt for Kenny McPeak, but I thought those four major players were just a little bit better in that Fern Creek, which goes as race number 8. Anything else, or on we go to the 9th?
On we go.
On we go to the 9th. So the 9th is a maiden special event at a mile on turf. And I've got to tell you, going back and watching the replay of the two Gotchas debut, that was probably as unlucky as Irad has ever gotten riding the turf at Keeneland. He was doing the right thing up until roughly the quarter pole when he probably had a little bit of an opportunity to get outside. He didn't take it, and he kept his gelding locked in on the inside, and boy, did he get locked in the entire way down the stretch. I mean, usually you get a little bit of separation and you can maybe knife your way through. He's a pretty ballsy rider too, so you would think that he would take it. They just never got a path, and then even when he was able to run a little bit, they got stopped again. So this is a horse that was really, really unlucky. Again, we're handicapping this without the benefit of morning line odds. This is a horse that if you see at 7-2 or more on the morning line, I mean, pencil in this horse is going to be under 5-2 because that trouble is obvious. And tack on top of it, of the horses that have run on turf, even with all that trouble, it was one of the faster races in the race. So, I mean, God knows how well this horse would have run if he had gotten a clean trip through there. There are some pedigrees on the outside. Supercharger, the 11, is out of a dam who won 3 times on the turf. Ironically, Supercharger was the name of the dam of Super Saver. They used this name back pretty quick. Bluegrass Pikes Dam won 4 times on the turf, so a little bit of move-up pedigree there, potentially on the lawn. There's no other turf form in here, Jonathan. Was there anybody, aside from the one Clark's Corner, who ran well on debut for Ian Wilkes, anybody that struck your fancy here in the 9th?
You're killing me now with a Super Saver thing. Was the dam like a weird? No, she wasn't. They let this. I guess what is it? 5 years without winning a graded stake. You can
it's something like that. Yeah, it's really not long enough. I mean, and not to mention they like the dam's name of a Derby winner should be retired. That's not.
Yeah, you're right.
or make
I,
them make it 2 words or something like that. But yeah, she was born in '95. She was by AP Indy. Her dam was Get Lucky. She was owned by the Phipps, and she then became the pretty sure the dam of Super Saver. I'm looking it up right now to play it safe, but while I can
think
still,
you're right.
yeah, she was Super Saver.
Okay.
Also, a horse named Cyrus Alexander, and another one named Brethren, who's actually a stallion now.
Yeah, brethren. Wow. Okay. I remember him. 2, 8, 9, 11 for me. I completely agree with you on Gotcha. The 8, I believe, is Sun Chaser for Michael McCarthy. It's Justify Colt that you know, McCarthy is not the type of person to like jam horses in spots. He just doesn't do that. He you know what I mean? It's if there's an easier situation, if the turf isn't going to work, I just think that this horse obviously has some talent, and sometimes his can improve as well. The one that I thought was interesting was Supercharger, who, you know, Cherie, she'll win with one first time out, obviously, and one that I thought made a little bit of sense in here in a race that there's nothing that really jumped completely off the page, looking for some of these first time starters. And then how did I get? Of course, I got screwed up with the numbers here. 1,
Kilo
2, 3,
Tango is the
4,
9.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay. Oh, Kilo Tango. That's the other one.
Yeah.
This one is simply is that when Brad or Todd or Chad or Bill Mott or Shug or Brendan Walsh or Graham Motion, when they have one that takes money on one surface on debut and they don't run all that well and they switch, I just assume that they got temporarily tricked, or it was something in the condition book that had them run there, and now they're getting back to where they want to go. And that was why I thought Kilo Tango had a shot. Also, full disclosure, I just, when I see a dam's name that I recognize, sometimes that grabs me. Up in Smoke was our friend Jake Ballas's one of his first greatest stakes winners for his Operation Black Type Thoroughbred. So I just remember her running a bunch for George Weaver, and the fact that this one shows up here getting on the grass. I remember there was a conversation, I think, with Up in Smoke at one point about getting her on the grass. She was kind of a late running sprinter. It was one that I thought was at least just a little bit interesting. So I'm going to spread in this legs. I'm going to get skinny in some of the other ones.
Yeah, I was going to bring up Brad clearly with some intent here of getting this colt to the turf, which I think means 2 things. Either this horse is going to be a good turf horse, or this horse just completely stinks. And that's, you're willing to take that gamble because you're going to probably get a bit better price this time around with Gotcha in there, and with Supercharger, who'll probably take a little bit of money. Bluegrass Pike could take a little bit of money as well. But yeah, I mean, it's a pretty dirt oriented dam site. So the fact that Brad is dead set on getting this horse to turf does make you feel a little bit better about his potential turf acumen. I will probably concentrate there on Gotcha and use a little bit of Clark's Corner. And the second leg, let's go to race 10, the Kentucky Jockey Club. This, of course, an event that has yielded many a Kentucky Derby starter. And there are definitely some horses in here that you would be talking about for the Derby, like number 6, Further Ado.
Yeah, ice cold single here. Well, not ice cold. I'd say that. I take that back. A single here. I'll use the 2 and the 3 as backups just in case, some of these other opinions roll through, and Further Ado has tricked me. But it looks like Further Ado is the real deal. This horse has been progressing, has run faster in every start, especially as the distance has got a little bit longer. And you got a gun runner in here. You'd like to think the further, the better. Further Ado for me, drawn well as well. I've got no issues singling that one. Like I said, I'll use the 2 and the 3, Cherokee Nation and Dr. Kapoor as B horses.
Yeah, just a huge performance in Further Ado last time out. I actually just got them sent to me and looked up a -1 on the thoroughgraphs, which is just completely unheard of. I mean, to put that in perspective, Soldier and Diplomat has the next fastest thoroughgraph fig in the race, and he got a 4 last time out. Dr. Kapoor's couple of mid-80s buyer speed figures got him a pair of 7s. So just, an incomprehensible number. And I'll tell you the thing about that day, Jonathan, and obviously I'm looking at Keeneland through multiple lenses, one of which is to bet on it, one of which is of course to make the morning line. They bet this horse like there was absolutely no chance he was going to lose. He was not supposed to be favored on paper. Vino Vici was coming out of a live race. He had been second in there. It's a Todd Pletcher horse, and they bet Further Ado early, middle, and late, and he ran off the screen. So no more interesting horse running this weekend than him. because obviously if he performs at that level, he is a stone cold Derby prospect. You brought up Dr. Kapoor, who has been very good in 2 prior starts, including a strong debut race where he got run down late by Big Dom. Cherokee Nation was beaten and nosed by Mr. AP after getting beaten by his stablemate Boyd on debut. Mr. AP, of course, came back to run a really good second in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. So plenty to like there. I couldn't really get after anybody else, but I'm really just intrigued to see how Further Ado does. I would end up using probably a little bit of the 2, 3, and 4 as backups. You mentioned the 2 and 3. I would throw in Soldier and Diplomat a little bit more, though. I wonder where he tops out distance-wise. Still a horse with some talent, I would say. But nobody in here potentially has as much talent as Further Ado. Again, just really excited to see how he performs in here. Let's go to race number 11, the Goldenrod, first half of the late double. They're going to go a mile on the 16th. And here in a field of 13 came together that includes Breeders' Cup Juvenile fillies beaten favorite Explora, who was a good second that day. I guess 2 questions for you. Yes or no on Explora? And either way, who else?
Yeah, I mean, I think this the combination of the confident single in the race prior and trying to beat Explorer for me, she was the favorite in the Breeders' Cup. She has won a couple of really big races, right? And now she's putting blinkers on. She's shipping. There's just a lot to have to kind of sort through with her. 1-9-11 for me. The one Barakaton to the inside. Both Brendan Walsh runners I think are interesting. Both. At least the one on the rail has won back-to-back races. Bella Ballerina also hasn't lost yet, stretching out. And I wish just a little bit more forward, but she moved early enough in that race that she kind of gets in off the goalpost. I hate late running types that are stretching out. I think that people fall for that. It doesn't always work. Bella Ballerina, I thought, showed enough early pace. And then Atropa. For Cherie DeVoe, who I thought was impressive last time. Ran a really fast number. There's been a horse that has come back and won out of that race. One of my favorite ways to identify how good a 10-length performance is, because I get it. You know, if me, you, and Travis Stone got into a race with Usain Bolt, he's going to win by 185, but he could be jogging all the way around there. Sometimes if someone comes back and wins another race, it makes you feel a little bit better about that 10-length win. So those are the 3 for me. I'll use the 5 and the 6 as backups. I am going to build this entire sequence about just hoping I can beat Explorer.
I like it. And I think Usain Bolt could probably beat me crawling. He definitely could do so jogging. But yeah, I agree. And I think this is a good opportunity to do so. I'll tell you what I'm a little surprised by is Bob's going back to the blinkers. And I think, Bob being a guy that's so speed crazed, it's gotten him to where he is. So obviously it's worked out very well. She was clearly a quicker horse early with the blinkers. And I wonder if he got a little annoyed about her not having quite enough finish. I do think there's probably going to be a little haste to maybe underestimate the race she ran last time out. I don't think she ran that bad in the context of that race. I'm not saying that that's any kind of good historical Breeders' Cup Juvenile fillies. I like betting against Breeders' Cup alums late in the year. I don't, as a rule, I don't like it. I really don't like this filly from the 12 in a race that's absolutely packed with speed. So I agree with you. I thought Atropa was the horse. If I was public handicapping, I'd pick her on top. This is another one who got a tremendous amount of money last time out. They're really better, coming off a pretty nondescript effort in the slop on debut, where she didn't really take much money. I mean, she was 8-1 in a 7-horse race, didn't really do much running. They bet her down to 7-2 second time out, and she just absolutely walloped them. Cherise Barnes been good at Churchill so far. And, the horses that have been in stakes before in Kentucky, like Life of Joy and the Grumpy Rabbit, they don't look that great. They look slow. They look average for the most part. I'm intrigued to see how the New York bred Let Me Count the Ways stacks up with them. This is an aggressive placement by Mike Maker, and I wouldn't be shocked to see him maybe opt to not go here and look for a New York bred stake late in the year. I think the East View is still coming up, but because she's been good in both starts, but she looks to have absolutely no chance in here. And I agree with you about Bella Ballerina, a daughter of Pretty City Dancer, who was a Grade 1 winner in the Spinaway as a 2-year-old filly. Just a really fun addition to this race. I'm looking forward to seeing how it shakes out. And obviously great to see Bob show up with all these horses. You're muted. It happens.
It's what happened. You live in New York City. It's just,
yeah, exactly.
The sirens. Yeah. What I will say about Atropa as well is that I remember her name because I thought it said something different and I just remembered it. And I looked back at my notes. She worked with a horse. You could see it on XBTV or First TV or whatever it's called. She worked with Vava leading up to the Breeders' Cup.
Yeah.
And Vava ran second. You know, she wasn't obviously the Vava that I think some people probably hoped she was going to be. Not me. I was against her in that spot. But still, you have a 2-year-old filly that can work with a multiple grade one winner like that. There's something to be said about that.
You just about completely stumped me in saying Vava ran second in that race. I had completely forgotten who ran second, but that's a good one. And a good sign, obviously, especially when Cherie's doing that with a young horse. Probably one she's trying to get a little bit more, maybe seasoning just in the workout form of it, which makes sense. Let's go to the nightcap at 7 furlongs on the main track, and we've got an overflow field here as expected. Good mixture of first-time starters and horses with experience. Where are you going to close this thing out?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with 2 horses to the outside. Towards the outside. The 8 Cannoneer, obviously the big price tag on that one. The half to Gervin. The pedigree's obviously there. The horse ran extremely well first time out, even though the horse was beaten. Right, I understand their odds on, but look, you just if you're worth that much money, you show up, you run, you show speed, you get involved in a pace, going 5.5. When you're an into mischief out of a Malibu Moon mare, and like I said, a half to a horse like Gervin, you know, your 5.5 is probably not the ideal situation. Showed a little ability, seems to be kind of hitting the ground running, working from there. And then Dragones, another one that I've always kind of been interested in since the horse debuted up at Saratoga. My man Ron Winchell, he clearly likes tequila. He's had a couple of good ones. Who is the what am I forgetting the other one's name?
Extra Anejo.
Extra Anejo. Yeah, he clearly likes a dark tequila. This one took some money on debut. If you take money at Saratoga, the way that whole thing unfolds, we all know that those horses typically end up being okay. The public might be wrong on the day, and the buzz might be wrong on the day, but typically the buzz is right. It just was wrong for a couple of minutes on a Saturday. And so I think this horse obviously has some talent. I think it's drawn well in here. And so I'll use the 8 and the 11. I'll use the 5, who I believe is
First
Regeneration for
Chad.
Chad. Yeah, I'll use that first with Flavian. And, you know, I got to be honest with me, something I couldn't get around to picking Robert Lee.
Yeah. Didn't get canceled here, apparently. But, yeah. No E in the middle, but yeah. Fair. Robert Lee by Omaha Beach for Chris Hartman, second-time starter. The 7 Associated was, I thought, a little bit of an interesting horse. Florent Giroux was on board on debut. This horse made a gigantic move coming off the turn and reached the front and then was out finished late in really just one of the crazier sort of running lines. You're going to see a horse go from last by 10 to first and then end up third. But a horse who obviously with some talent who continues to train well for Whit Beckman. So I think there's something to like about this colt by Yopon. The Yopon progeny have been really, really good at first asking and in general early on. I have nothing to add really to Cannoneer or Dragones, both of whom look solid. You know, you're not going to get the luxury of the toad action here, but it would obviously be interesting to see if you get any money on a horse like the 12 Different Gravy for Eddie Canale. 2 winners on the Dam side. Dam was a turf winner. It's a Boldoro, good first out sire. So there's some intangibles there to like in what looks like a pretty tough race from top to bottom to close out this sequence on another tremendous day of racing. 4 stars of tomorrow, too. Jonathan, will be looking forward to seeing you. America's Day at the races this weekend?
Yeah, Black Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Oh, man, a lot of A-train trips for you coming up.
Well, yeah, one of them. Listen to this though. This is so no one thinks I don't work hard. I am working on Saturday.
You work hard. I'm kidding.
No, you're right. I don't.
Kidding, right.
I'm working on Saturday. Okay, so Austin's here with me in New York, so I'm working on Saturday, and then I do the show, and I get done at the show at 4, maybe 3:45-ish. Then I jump back on the A train, going the other direction to JFK. I fly Austin to Austin, and then I am back on the 6 a.m. flight, get on the A train from the other way, and I'm on the show on Sunday.
Wow, that's a lot of
8% that.
flying.
There you
Is there
go.
a JFK to Austin nonstop now?
Yes. Like 2 a day.
Oh, okay. That's
Both
interesting.
ways. Yeah, both ways.
Yeah, that's good. We have one Houston to JFK nonstop on JetBlue.
Is it
That's it.
United? JetBlue? Yeah, we have
Yeah, 'cause
American.
all of our traffic from here goes through Newark or LaGuardia, pretty much.
And actually, there's 2 Americans and 3 Deltas a day.
That's really from JFK. Wow.
Yeah,
Who would have known that? Very surprising. But yeah, that's dedication, no doubt about it. You're going to be, you'll certainly be ready for a day on. Are you on Talking Horses on Sunday?
Wow.
No, I don't think so.
I'm
Maggie's usually on Sundays.
okay. Yeah, because I can't be because I'm going to be on an airplane. But
Right.
I hope not. I should check the schedule just to be sure.
Well, happy flying to you. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody else out there. Hopefully you enjoy a day of fun with your family and plenty of eating. It's the ultimate American holiday, right? It's all about football and food. Can't get any better. That's why Pete's in England. He went to England to celebrate Thanksgiving.
It's devastating.
Incredible. That's it for this edition of the In the Money Players podcast. Nick Tammaro and Jonathan Kitchen. I think we probably had a bit too much fun here, but that's what you do to us on Tuesday afternoons. Until next time, best of luck.